Next of all, I heard this unmerciful bang and instantly felt just a really severe hot burning pain in the back of my head. Now, I automatically knew I was after being shot. I just knew straight away. Felt it. I knew it was a shotgun then as well. They were smaller kind of holes. It wasn't a big hole, so I knew hopefully something hadn't penetrated my skull. I was kind of had my wits about me. One of the pellets, I got x-rays and stuff, so they were going to try and take the pellets out there and then, but they realised that they were too deep. I was shot because of corrupt Gardaí. Because of Gardaí that had serious issues with me due to the advocacy work and the amount of complaints I was making against senior guards for some serious issues. I've done a lot of private security for other people apart from Rihanna, but yeah, Rihanna would have been one of the biggest ones. Got very close very quick. It wasn't just physical bodyguard. I was checking every facet of her life. So even people that she thought were close to her, I was telling her, you need to get rid of this person, you need to get rid of that person. So that set alarm bells off, not with Rihanna. It set alarm bells off with Roc Nation because they were going to go on, hold on, who is this fella? He's clearing house. And they didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that Rihanna was taking the advice I was giving her. Through Roc Nation and through Rihanna's crew, I was getting threatened, saying if I didn't drop this, if I didn't drop that, Jay-Z would make me disappear and all that. Like, I got to work with Chris Brown. I got to see the darker side of the likes of the music industry through interacting with him.
Yes, people, welcome back to Not Guilty TV. Today we've got another fantastic guest joining us from Ireland. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Geoff Keating. Geoff, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Christian. And look, thanks for having me on. I know we were going to try and do this a little bit earlier, but obviously due to the injury, I've had to kind of stop everything and take total rest, which is very hard for someone like me. I'm very active and I do a lot in the community as well. So everything basically over the last 3 weeks has stopped. So it's kind of very... it's kind of annoying. I know I have to heal as well, and I have kind of some injuries, but yeah, it's kind of annoying and it's very hard for myself to kind of stay in bed basically and rest.
Absolutely. So let me give a bit of backstory. So it's absolutely crazy. No need to apologise. Like I said, it's thank you very much for giving us the time, obviously, especially with what's happened to you. So for people who don't know, Geoff is a former military operative who transitioned into private security. Ended up having some really high profile clients, including Rihanna, who he worked with for 2 years during the Diamonds tour, which was insane. And then from then he's been doing some extraordinary stuff, exposing some stuff that we'll go into. And then just a few weeks ago, Geoff ended up being shot in the back of the head with a shotgun, and he still has the pellets in his head, or I'm not sure if they've all been removed yet, or even if they can through safety. But obviously Geoff's going to talk us through it all during this interview. So absolutely remarkable. And like I said, thank God you're all right with what happened, Geoff. But let's start with the incident then. I don't think we could go past that and then we'll go back and then work our way through. But what happened then a few weeks ago then? So how long ago was this, Geoff, exactly?
Would have been three and a half weeks ago maybe. So it was the 18th of December, if memory serves me right. Now I might get a bit confused because I have a kind of a slight memory, a short-term memory issue, they said as well, which hopefully will come back. But yeah, so if I do kind of sound a bit, it's just because it takes me a second to kind of remember things back. But yeah, no, basically I was getting up, we got the kids to school and was heading over just to the local shops, which is probably less than half a kilometre away. I was walking and I'd left the house. I'd walked up onto the next road, which is an avenue, kind of a long road with houses either side of it. I was in the middle of the road, and next of all, I heard this unmerciful bang and instantly felt just a really severe hot burning pain in the back of my head. Now, I automatically knew I was after being shot. I just knew straight away. I spun around to kind of engage the attackers, but I couldn't see anybody. And then when I spun back around, I kind of put my hand on my head to check to see if there was anything from the front. And I saw two young builders who were white as a ghost. They'd obviously heard the shot. They saw the blood coming from the back of my head. So my main kind of focus then was to get them in behind cover because I didn't know if the second shot was coming. So I was successfully able to get them behind the big steel door closed. I should have ran in behind the door with them. to give myself some protection, but I wanted to engage in whoever this was, because like there's children and everything. Any other day, luckily children were in the school. Were in school because any other day on that very same road where I was shot, there could be up to anything of 6, 7 young children from the ages of probably 3 up to 12 playing. So I was very mindful of that. I got them in behind cover. I checked where I thought the shot had come from. I thought it came from the left-hand side of me to a garden, but seemingly it came from a bit more behind me. They were kind of hiding. I'd actually, believe it or not, walked past them. They were sitting in a car, and I'd walked past them, and obviously they took the shot then when I went past them. So I was able to make it back to my house, because at this stage I didn't see the gunmen. So I was just straight into security mode. So I wanted to make it back to the house, which was probably 600 yards away, to make sure that they weren't engaging with my family, like they weren't coming to the house. So I got back to the house. Dana, the missus, the better half, was there. I came into the house. She knew because she saw the blood. I said, look, I'm after being shot. Just get on to 999. What I didn't realise at the time was the 2 builders that I had kind of pushed behind the oak, they rang the guards at the same time. So I kind of told Anna to ring 999. My daughter was out the back. She came in. Now, they were very calm, thanks be to God. They're very switched on. So obviously, because of the threat, this threat's been going on over 2 years now. I put some security protocols in place so the family know exactly what to do if something like this had transpired. So Dana basically got onto the emergency service as well. I ran inside to our bathroom. We have one downstairs just to check the injuries to make sure half my head actually wasn't missing, because it felt like half my head was missing. I kind of felt it. I knew it was a shotgun then as well. They were smaller kind of holes. It wasn't a big hole, so I knew hopefully something hadn't penetrated my skull. I was kind of had my wits about me. I ran straight back out to the garden, obviously, then to stay on watch in case to engage anything that came down the road. And by the time I got back out into the garden, every garden Finglas was on the road. There was I think there was 3 armed support unit vehicles with 3 operatives each in it. So that would have been like 9 of the armed support unit. Now they're the kind of the elite of the Garda's response. Like they deal with serious situations, like they'd be like the emergency response unit. They were there. There was 2 ambulances, 2 fire brigades. There was cars everywhere. So it kind of the 2 detectives brought me in to make sure I'd sit down, because they were worried, obviously, that there was severe injuries. So I was still on my guard at that stage, but when I realised all the police were there, I knew I could let my guard down. I didn't have to then protect the house or myself or the family. So I was assessed. They cut my top off. The firemen came in. It was all happened in the sitting room. So there was like, geez, I don't know, there was probably 10 or 15 different people between the ambulance crews, the fire brigade, and the detectives and the guards. So I was assessed. The guards were asking me exactly where it happened, because I think they were of the impression that it happened just as I walked outside on my road. So it was actually on the next road. So I had, although I was in pain, the kind of adrenaline was kicking in, but I was able to walk them back around to the actual place. So I knew that we're going to have to seal off the area. So I didn't want them sealing off the wrong area, just for evidential wise. So I was able to bring them back around and showed them the area. They brought me straight back down into the ambulance. I was conveyed then to Blanchardstown Connolly Hospital, which is only a couple of miles away. There was a guard stayed in the ambulance with me, a young female guard. She was very nice. Like, she kind of kept my spirits up. Went in and got seen to then in the A&E, and they assessed it, and one of the pellets, I got x-rays and stuff, so they were going to try and take the pellets out there and then, but they realised that they were too deep, so they couldn't. So they told me that they might try and come out themselves. So I stayed. Maybe they wanted to keep me over in the hospital, but obviously I wanted to get home and make sure everybody knew that I was okay, because by the time I was in the ambulance and I got to the hospital, so then this was 10, 15 minutes after the actual shooting, it was online that I was dead. So I had a lot of people obviously ringing my phone while this was going on, checking to see if I was okay. Family members had heard that I was dead. A lot of people that I would know, I would have a huge kind of circle of people that would know me, just due to the advocacy work I do for the kids of Finglas. So I had to, I just wanted to kind of get home and reassure everybody that I was actually okay. It's not nice to hear that someone you know has been shot dead. So especially my family. So I was on the kind of phone to them while I was in the hospital saying, look, I'm not dead, I'm okay. I should be home soon. And that was it. So, and since then, it's kind of, everything's kind of snowballed. There's been a kind of huge Garda presence in and around the house and the estate. So they are now taking it very seriously. Unfortunately, if they had taken it more seriously when I told them that there was credible evidence of this threat, and purely due to me advocacy work for the children, which basically I was shot because of corrupt Gardaí. That's the reason why I was shot, was because of Gardaí that had serious issues with me due to the advocacy work and the amount of complaints I was making against senior guards for some serious issues that were criminal in nature. And because obviously I wouldn't stop, it ended up with me being shot, because I'm not connected to gangland crime or crime in any way. Like it's very unusual for a member of the public just to be shot. Like I know what happens, like to people that are in gangland or into serious crime, but for a member of the public that's not involved in that like that to be shot is shocking. It's quite shocking. It really, really is.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely horrific. Thank God. Obviously, they weren't a little bit closer. The fact that they've gone so deep into your head that they can't pull them out. Maybe if they're a few meters closer, you might not be here talking today. And such a reckless and brazen attack to do it in broad daylight in public on.
Yeah.
It's
it is. It's a very, very, very troubling set of events. Like it really is. It's even from a security standpoint, it's quite shocking that, and how brazen it was as well, considering who I am. So these people obviously would have had to do some research, and I think that's probably why they didn't take the second shot, because I find it kind of found out subsequently where the shot was taken from, and when I spun around, I would have been directly facing them. Obviously, my vision was gone, so I think they got a fright because I was heading towards them. So they probably thought, oh my God, we didn't shoot. And they knew if I had got anywhere close to them, that would have been the end of it. I've got plenty of experience in nullifying threats like that. I've done it throughout my career. So I have actually had to, strangely enough, disarm people with firearms before, weapons. It wouldn't be the first time I've had to do something like that, but never. It was always protecting somebody else, never protecting myself. It was always due to the work I was doing, whether it was the bodyguard work or the security work as well. So, yeah, quite troubling that.
Yeah, absolute madness. And like you said, absolutely shocking. The fact that you're not a criminal, but obviously you do a lot of work at exposing stuff, and it probably means that you're quite close to the mark at the moment and in what you've been doing of late, if they're that set on doing you damage to get you removed. But what we don't want to do is screw up the investigation in any way. But
yeah.
have there been any arrests since, Geoff?
Not yet. No, I am being kept up to date. All I can say is that investigation, the shooting investigation,
that's terrible in itself. Sorry to interject. And
yeah. You're dead right. Yeah. So that investigation itself is, I've been informed, is gathering pace. Like they have a lot of stuff that they will be making arrests on very, very soon. They've a lot of evidence, DNA, gun residue, even have a fingerprint. That's about as much as I can say. It's about as much as I've been told. So,
well, let's hope so. But it's been quite a long time since this. But I mean, today it's so hard when they put the full resources of the Gardaí or the police behind something, with all the technology these days, all the cameras these days, the ring doorbells. There's 100 cameras down every single street these days. It's so hard to commit high level things. So it's a bit shocking that there hasn't been any arrests of yet. But we pray, obviously. We pray that there are, and it obviously exposes who's behind this campaign, and we can get to the bottom of who's been trying to do you damage to silence you.
Yeah, and that's basically what it is. Now I've had other instances of this. Is just one of many. Now, not obviously, I've never been shot before, and it never went to this level. But I've had a level of intimidation and harassment from members of An Garda Síochána as a whole, as an organisation, and it can only be explained as it's actually a concerted effort, because I've lived in Finglas for 17 years. I've never had an issue. The only time I started having issues with members of Garda Síochána would have been 12 years ago, when I came across, due to the advocacy work of working with the children. I took a great interest in working with the kids in Finglas. I set up, where we're situated, there's fields, kind of wasteland fields, but they're lovely. It's like a valley. So there'll be about probably 200-300 acres of land. And obviously the children of Finglas and people in Finglas in general have a great affinity with horses. It's part of the culture here. It's part of what makes Finglas what it is. You'll always see people riding horses, whether it be bareback saddles or whatever. So I decided to set up and I funded it myself. A kind of a riding school. So I got one of my former military mates to actually, he was in the household guards, the household cavalry. So he was an expert horseman. So we'd get him up here once a week and we were running it for 2 years. It was brilliant. And during that time, interacting with the children. Now, these children were from the ages of 8 up to 16, young boys and young girls. The stories I was hearing about their interactions with members of Garda Síochána, I actually couldn't believe it. I was like, no, this isn't right. This couldn't be happening. I mean, kids getting stopped for absolutely no reasons, checked on the street. Like, imagine members of Garda Síochána. If it happened in any other country, it would have been addressed immediately. Like, they would stop children for absolutely no reason. Young boys from the age of 13 up, even younger, stop them on the street. And this would be mainly the drugs unit. Asking them to open up their boxer shorts to see if they were hiding drugs in their bottom. Imagine grown men asking teenage boys and girls to pull out their trousers so they could have a look down to make sure they aren't. That's a crime straight away. Like, that's a serious crime to make a child expose their genital area because you feel that they're carrying drugs. That's absolutely unacceptable. That was just minor. That ended up being the minor stuff I was hearing. I went on then to hear the stories of children being seriously assaulted for absolutely no reason. And of course, that's when I started doing that. That's when I started becoming on the radar of the local police station, which is Finglas Garda Station, and Blanchardstown, which is the headquarters. So Blanchardstown, the district we're in, is called the K district. So that would cover, the stations cover Blanchardstown, Cabra, and Finglas, which is a big area. And all of a sudden, I was getting followed. I would be getting stopped. They would have information on me that I didn't know. So the guards were actually doing a deep trawl into exactly who I was, because I was initially, I was going to the superintendents, stupidly thinking that they would actually do something about it. But by all accounts, and with the evidence I have and the interactions I've had over the last 12 years, is the superintendents were allowing and telling the men to go out and do this. They're actually going out targeting the most vulnerable kids in my community.
What the?
Like, just totally.
Well, this is what happens in this in England, as it's just come out at the moment over with all these grooming gangs. They target the kids, deprived communities, unfortunately, whose parents aren't maybe there, supportive, and all this sort of stuff. But before we go any further, I'd like to commend you. Well done, Geoff, on everything you've done so far. Congratulations.
You can't stand by, and if you see an injustice and you stand by and do nothing, basically, I believe you're complicit in it. That you're helping, you're adding to the problem. You have to stand up, no matter what it is, and you have to understand as well. A lot of people and parents in Finglas, due to the treatment of guards over the last 20, 30 years, this isn't a new problem. This has been going on for so long. Is that they feel disempowered. They don't know where to go. Like, you could ask anybody of Finglas, oh, I'm going to go up against the guards. Every single person will tell you, oh no, don't do that. Terrified of, and purely because of their actions, not because of things they've heard, but because of things they've seen and experienced for themselves. So yeah, I was never going to stand by and allow that happen on my watch. Absolutely not.
Of course, like you said, you knew you were exposed to some bad stuff, obviously, and so then as time's gone on, as it's culminated, and you knew your life was in danger. You'd be making reports prior to this stuff that your life was in danger, and so then when this happened, it was no surprise to anyone. No one's got any excuses for what happened to you. But it's such a complicated situation because the people you're going to try and protect you are maybe complicit in some of the stuff that's been going on. We're not trying to suggest for a second the Garda had anything to do with what's happened in terms of you being shot, but this is obviously a result of maybe you exposing people connect. We don't know what may be, but we're not making any suggestions or accusations in any way that could compromise anything. What I can say is for the last 2 years, I've sent maybe 4 or 5 emails to senior guards in the area and to actually the Garda Commissioner himself, imploring him to give us some sort of protection or to look into this seriously. And each time I was blank refused. And then I'm shot. So that doesn't help the case either. That kind of points would make me feel like if I knew this was going to happen and I had credible evidence, and how come they didn't know? Yeah, like a lot of things, especially shootings, like people wouldn't believe it, but Gardaí do hear a lot of this stuff before it happens. They would have kind of
ears on the ground, whatever way they do it. Like, do you know what I mean? So to be totally ignored and then for it to happen is something
Well,
that it's very hard for me to swallow.
of course, you should never have to swallow something like that. Obviously, there's no way that you're going to swallow something like that. But let's just wait and see if any arrests get made. And if
Yeah,
no arrests get made in the next few weeks, coming weeks, then we've got to look into it a little bit more differently. And obviously, for people to come and target you, you touched on it slightly earlier. For someone to target you, you're actually of military background, aren't you?
yeah, yeah, and it's not even military. I have done you like security. I have over 25 years in private security. Like that's a huge amount of work. So for to come after someone like me, they were definitely taking a risk. And I think that's why they jumped back in the car when they saw me spinning around. The fact that I had been shot, they shot me with a shotgun, and I didn't hit the deck, that I did not fall down, and that I turned around and I was ready to go. I think that frightened them, and that now they obviously were. I think whoever these two gunmen were out to make a name for themselves, probably starting off in their careers. Unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe they were put under pressure to do it. They could be aligned to a drugs gang that are making them do stuff like that. I have no idea, but it will all come out, and will. The arrests definitely will point it to a definite. There's a definite line of inquiry now at the minute, anyway.
Yeah.
But it really kind of just reaffirmed for me where this originated from, which I have an idea already, but I'm not going to be saying much. Obviously, I don't want to be scuppered any investigation or anything else like that, but I do have a very um, solid intelligence of exactly where this came from.
Well, thank God, obviously, maybe they're rookies, or maybe the fact that they knew about your military background, which stopped them getting a little bit closer. And
Yeah,
that's
because
probably
I,
what saved you.
I would have definitely been able to disarm them. I've done it before. I definitely would have dealt with that issue very, very quickly and very severely as well. Um, I don't take chances when it comes to someone losing their life or something like that. I go into a different mode altogether. I go
Like you said,
desperately.
you're military trained, so it's a whole different situation, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and that training, and not only that training, the ethos that like the Royal Marines have, like we would always, even during training, like you would adversity. You're trained in the Royal Marines. Obviously, you're trained to a very, very high. They're an elite force, but you're also trained to deal with things mentally, which I think is brilliant. Like the Royal Marines will use humor, which is what I do, even in the ambulance. And I was kind of trying to have a joke with the firemen and the ambulance crew, and they were kind of shocked that I was they thought I was making light of it. I said, lads, this is my way of dealing with it, which is a great way to deal with serious situations, is if you use humor, because it
Well, I kind of
does
think your training kicked in, didn't it? Some
straight
people
immediately.
it kicked in, and that's what made you act in a completely different manner to any normal person. So,
Yeah, and immediately, like, there you go. That's the Royal Marine training for you, and that's how good that is. Like my first thought was to get those two builders. Seconds after it was shot, my first thought was to get those two young men behind cover, because I knew they were in the line of fire, and I would not have been able to sleep at night knowing that somebody else got injured because I was targeted. Like I wouldn't be. I probably wouldn't even be talking to you now if someone else had got seriously injured because of that incident. It would break my heart. It really, really would. My whole ethos is trying to stop situations like this happen, try to keep children out of situations like this, to show them if you get into a gang, this is what's going to happen. Like I've done so much for the community to try and get, and the community is shocked. I've had such like the local shops have offered us anything we need, any help. Local taxi man, I haven't paid for a taxi in 3 weeks. If I have to go anywhere, I go on the taxi app. The taxi men are coming up. They'll wait there for me. They won't charge me. It's so it shows. I didn't realize how much esteem I was held within the community. It's absolutely like they really reached out, and they've really kind of supported us and asked us if we needed anything, and it's been absolutely brilliant. It's been good for the family to see as well.
thank
So
God. Well, this obviously came down to you trying to help the community, didn't it, and expose certain things. So it's only right as such. So well done. But talking about the pellets in your head, you said they're so deep that they couldn't get them out initially. Are they
get
are
them.
they lead pellets? And could you get poison? And so what are they going to do? They're going to wait for them to come a little bit more up in the surface before they can pull them out. And
They're small lead pellets. I think they're only point 0.5, 0.2, 2.5 mil, point 0.5. They're not very big. Um, I think they come at you at 800 feet per second, so that's where the damage comes from. But yeah, one of the pellets is embedded in the back of my skull. That's the one that's kind of the doctors explained to me it's quarter of the way into my skull, but it didn't fracture my skull, so it's just kind of put a dent in my skull. It's there, but they're saying no, the rest of them won't come out. The rest of them I'll be left with this for life now,
And
and
what
they
can you
can't
get?
take.
Can you get poisoning off the lead or anything like this, or is that an old fable?
No, no, that's what I was worried. I was worried about it. No, the body will eventually either break them down over 20, 30 years. It's the injury that I'm more concerned. I was concerned about the lead pellets. I thought the pellets were causing. I honestly thought that one of the pellets, may be sitting on a nerve or sitting on an artery that was causing this vision problem I have, the severe headaches and a bit of the memory loss. But what the doctor explained was it's called a QM. What's it called? A QM counter Q concussion. So that's the injury to the. So I've actually injured my brain in two areas. So when I was initially shot, obviously the pellets caused their own damage with the blood and everything else. But what happened was my brain was projected forward, and the front part of my brain, which controls memory, everything else, that bounced off the inside of my skull, and then it ricocheted back, and my brain hit the back part of my skull, which is causing the vision issue. Now, they said the pain, hopefully with the headache, should subside within a couple of weeks to a couple of months. However, he was kind of being hopeful. He said, we don't know how much of your vision is going to come back, because that was the main pellet that's kind of stuck in my skull. That's the one that shot my brain forward, basically. So that's the one. It's caused more damage to the back than the front of my brain. So I'm just hoping that I do. It's not nice kind of having 20/20 vision and all of a sudden not being able to see out your left eye. I can make out kind of shadows and shapes, but I have this constant kind of electric line that's kind of flashing different colors. So it's highly annoying. It really, really is. And then obviously I am praying that the vision fully comes back, or back to it where I can see a little bit better.
Of course. Well, we pray that comes back. But absolutely remarkable. Like I said, a miracle what's happened. But you've done some other extraordinary stuff in the past, Geoff, that I want to touch on slightly. After leaving the military, you ended up going into the private security business. And
Yeah. So what I did, I always wanted to be a soldier. A lot of my family would be like, we have a huge kind of a history in the Irish Army and other armies. So a lot of my cousins, uncles, grandfathers, we can trace our military kind of heritage right back to World War One and World War Two. So our family have had serving members in every World War or different conflicts all over the place. So that was something I was always geared towards doing, especially as a child. It's just something I always wanted to do. But then, obviously, I sustained an injury in the Royal Marines, which ended my career. It was a bad injury to my knee. I fell 30 feet. So after I healed from that, I came back home to Ireland and got straight back into private security. So I would have been doing security for the likes of Arnott's Superstore. So I was a store detective. So I went straight in as a plainclothes kind of store detective. And that's what I did for a couple of years. I did door work, the usual stuff you do. And you'd always get loads of work like that. There was always people screaming out for, especially in the early 2000s. Like, there was kind of a boom in the security industry. The Celtic Tiger was just coming towards its end, so there was money everywhere. So then into the private security, I've done a lot of private security for other people apart from Rihanna. But yeah, Rihanna would have been one of the biggest ones. Her story alone is crazy. If you look at where she came from to where she is now, to come from an island of Barbados to being a multi-billionaire running an empire, basically.
yeah, so how did you go from doing the door work and all this sort of stuff to getting into the sort of private security with obviously some of the highest profile clients in the world? How did you transition? How did that come around?
It's basically just a progression. Like, I had done the close protection courses in England, so that was something I always wanted to do anyway. My plan was originally, when I came out of the Royal Marines, to see if I could heal and train for a year and maybe get back into another unit. Not obviously something as
But the fact that you've been in the Marines obviously put you on a pedestal. If I wanted a bodyguard, it would want to be someone who'd been Marines rather than a little close protection security. Marine training would be a lot more important to me. So it's just making people aware. What put you in the position?
Basically, one of Rihanna's crew got in touch with me, and it just kind of snowballed from there. It kind of snowballed, and it went to me just looking after kind of everything, every aspect of her life, I suppose. So yeah, that was a demanding role as well. But you get to see what people in that industry have to deal with, like the fan base. Then you also have these kind of headbangers and people that aren't right in the head that would maybe be obsessed with her, that would cause some security concerns that would have to be checked out if you were going to different areas. If there was someone maybe that you were getting mail from that was kind of cause for concern, you would always kind of be mindful of stuff like that. And then you have the whole Roc Nation thing and the whole everything else like that. It's absolutely crazy like that. I wouldn't have
I can
lasted
only
there.
imagine the stresses, like you say, when you're dealing with someone that high value, high profile client. She's got thousands of stalkers, I'm sure, in every single country, and
Yeah,
lunatic
people like,
lunatic fans who aren't mentally correct. These obsessed people. Everywhere you went, you've got to be super aware and have super protocols in place every single stage.
because when you're dealing with, say, if you were dealing with an assassin, assassins are professional. They have a kind of a code. You would know what to watch for, what approaches, or how they were going to do stuff like that. But somebody that has a mental illness, that is obsessed with another human being, they are very, very hard to kind of judge and to see what they're going to do next, because half the time they don't even know. It's kind of sporadic. They could be at a concert 1 minute happy, and the next minute they could be trying to drag her into the crowd, or run, hit the stage, rush the stage, and stuff like that. Unfortunately, as well, it's very easy to get weapons inside of arenas and stuff like that. Now, I know security measures have kind of come up since, but there's always that worry as well that so it was constant worry, constant stress, and you would have to be hyper vigilant, even in times where you knew she was in a safe location. Anything outside of that, or you'd be waiting for people to try and infiltrate that, which you'd get it as well with the paparazzi. We've had some crazy thing. I had some crazy instances with stories I was hearing from some of the paparazzi that would kind of, you'd have a chat with them, you try and get to know these people and try and kind of, because it's part of your job as well. Like I would have conversations with them. Look, instead of when we're coming outside of the hotel, they'd all run and rush. And there was a fear of maybe her getting injured or one of us getting injured. I've got so many smacks in the back of the head of cameras where cameramen were trying to get a photograph and would actually hit you on the back of the head to try and get you to move. So we would, like, I was of the mind I'd go out and have a chat with them, say, look, she's going to come out. I don't want any of this rushing. We'll take our time walking to the car. You take all the photographs you want, but if you get within distance of somebody getting hurt with a camera, that's the end of it, no more. And I kind of built a rapport with them, and that way they would tell me a few things about, like, maybe one rogue paparazzi fella was going to try and get into the hotel and take photographs of a room, or is going to. So it was great that way. You would have so much. There was so many different facets of security that have to be covered with somebody that's as famous as Rihanna. And back then she wasn't, as she was huge, but now she's a mega star. So I can only imagine the security, the threat.
Stepped up even more. And so,
Which,
how
look,
long did you work with her for, Geoff? How long was it?
It was only a year and a half. That's all.
That's a considerable time to be working with such a high-profile client. And wasn't this in 2012, 2013?
Yeah, 2000, early 2000. It actually started early 2012, yeah, to 2000, late 2013. So, yeah, it was
And
it was heavy going.
This was the Diamonds tour going on at this time. Were you part of that with her?
The Diamonds, I joined up on the Diamonds World Tour in Antwerp, yeah, and then would have went right through every one of the tours up until Germany. And then I left, I came home, and that was the last time. I kind of promised myself I wasn't going to do any more high profile security work after that, because it was not something that, that world is it's just totally different. Like, they carry on differently. I'm not saying Rihanna, but I'm saying people around, the likes of Roc Nation and things like that, not very nice people.
No, of course. And so what was Rihanna like personally? How was she to deal with?
Personally, it was fine to deal with. We got very close very quick. Obviously, because we were spending so much time together, so we would do a lot of, apart from when I wasn't there, there would be Skype calls every day, texts every day, calls every day.
There's going to be instant trust, where she's putting her trust in you. It's going to build instant rapport very quickly, isn't it? More so than a normal relationship. She's able to trust you to keep her safe, which is a different sort of situation.
Which is something that you have to take extremely seriously. You really do. You've got someone's life in your hands. Not only their physical being, but their mental health as well. You have to kind of look after as well, because they're in a position where they're so famous. Like,
it must be overwhelming for them with everything that goes on.
Life is totally different. It really, really is, where normal things become a huge effort. Like a normal going to the shop becomes nearly a military operation, or wanting to go to have dinner becomes a military operation. There's so many factors that have to be involved in that person trying to lead a normal life, which they can never lead a normal life. And I think that's why you see a lot of, especially younger stars nowadays, turn into drugs and turn into everything else, because it's so mentally and physically demanding, not only on the bodyguards, more so on them.
Of course.
But they're tied to these big, huge record companies that are merciless, that don't care whether this person is tired or whether this person is suffering a mental health issue or just a bit of depression, maybe not do this interview that day. That doesn't come into it. The likes of Jay-Z's and these people, they don't care. They don't care about the people under them as much as they say they do. They don't care. They absolutely, people like that are commodities to them. They're just a money-making machine, and they will tell you they love you. They will tell you they do this. They will tell you they do. I can tell you now that people, the likes of Jay-Z's and other people like that, the likes of the Weinsteins and all that, women, especially women are things to be used, commodities and everything else. And it's only the very strong women that are able to actually get through with that and deal with that in some sort of way. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to deal with it. There's no way I would be able to go through any of that stuff that these pop stars go through, because I would have none of it straight away. I would do. And I think that's probably what endeared me to Rihanna a bit more than any of the other bodyguards, was the fact that I had no problem telling people to go and swing for it. That's not happening. Nope. Just take hold.
Well, thank God at the moment, in the last year or so much stuff's coming out, or the last few years, to be honest, there's so much stuff coming out about the music industry. So everyone's looking at it in a completely different way at the moment. But who were you employed by? Were you employed by Rihanna, or were you employed by the management company? And
just strictly, just everything between me and Rihanna was strictly between us, and anything else around that, anybody, other people that were employed for, would be through Roc Nation and through things like that. So I was totally exempt from the likes of Roc Nation, and I wouldn't have done any of the work had Roc Nation been telling me to do anything.
Must have been around these. They must have been around her every single day, regardless. Then when this,
oh yeah, of course, yeah,
they must have had lots of,
especially on tour. You'd have a Roc Nation tour manager. Everybody on the tour was definitely all from Roc Nation, so yeah, they would keep a very close eye on their.
Well, Jay-Z had a very close hand in her success right from the start, from that initial meeting where he forced her to sign and wouldn't let her leave, apparently, and then it all from there. Originally of Def Jam, which he controlled, and then it obviously through Roc Nation joined. But he was and has been pivotal from the start with Rihanna.
Yeah, with a lot of people as well.
A very close hand with her.
Yeah, would now Jay-Z, I had one issue with him, and it was the time when I left the tour. Obviously, I set legal proceedings. That's another time for another story. But through Roc Nation and through Rihanna's crew, I was getting threatened, saying if I didn't drop this, if I didn't drop that, Jay-Z would make me disappear and all that. Like, so I just thought, I didn't take that lightly at all. So straight away I sent Jay-Z, or Rihanna's manager, who would be Jay Brown at the time. He was co-founder.
Why would that happen though? Did you see anything that you shouldn't have seen, and did you see anything that wasn't meant to be going on for those couple of years?
It was just the fact that we.
And have you signed NDAs with her?
One, but that was going back to 2015, which they broke.
Signed an NDA. Are they even applicable like in every country around the world? They're not, are they?
They're not. No, they're not.
They're only for a certain time period. Is that correct?
Some of them are, but the good thing about NDAs now, they're being exposed for what they are, because NDAs, that's what everybody gets to sign. Like, they did try to trick me, which was strange, when, like, they think, I don't know what they were trying to pull, or to pull the wool over my eyes, but about a week before I left the tour, we were in Amsterdam. Actually, no, yeah, we were in Amsterdam, and we were heading off to leave. We were going to be heading to Germany on the buses, and one of the Roc Nation lads came down to me and he goes, Geoff, would you just sign this? It's an insurance form just for going to Germany and everything. I was kind of looking at him going, an insurance form? I had my own insurance anyway. I said, insurance form? I said, give us a look at that. No, you just sign it. And I grabbed it out of his hand, and it was a fucking NDA. They even had on the front page insurance, and then when you pulled back, it was all this non-disclosure. So I turned around and I said, well, but you can stick that up your arse. I'm not signing anything.
And who was the guy trying to make you sign?
Was Jason Milner. who was her tour manager at the time. So he directly would have been working for Jay-Z, Roc Nation.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the start of the downward. I knew something was up, but look, you had to understand at the time, I was exposing people around Rihanna as well, and that was part of my job. It wasn't just physical bodyguard. I was checking every facet of her life. So even people that she thought were close to her, I was telling her, you need to get rid of this person, you need to get rid of that person. So that set alarm bells off, not with Rihanna. It set alarm bells off with Roc Nation, because they were kind of going, hold on, who is this fella? He's clearing house. And they didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that Rihanna was taking the advice I was giving her.
Yeah, no, because you might end up getting rid of them eventually when you're exposing all the bad people around her. But did you see anything? Did you see anything untoward that shouldn't be going on, or anything bad? I mean, you see all this stuff in the media at the moment to do with Jay-Z and children and Puff Daddy and all this sort of stuff. And there's so many stories out there at the moment.
There is, and look, I never witnessed anything along the lines of that, especially, and I know for a fact Rihanna would be having absolutely none of that. She wouldn't allow anything like that to go on. That's one thing I can say hand on heart, that she wouldn't have been, or wouldn't have had anything to do with anything even close to that, because she's the type of person that she would be kind of fairly tuned into protecting people as well. She kind of have a big heart that wouldn't wash with her whatsoever. She would have something done if she had to witness something like that.
Of course.
So
Geoff, you believe Rihanna's a good person then, but you see obviously all these tales about, in order to get these levels of success in these industries, whether it be the music or the film, these people have to sell their soul to the devil and all this sort of malarkey, especially if someone like Jay-Z there managing her from the start. But you think Rihanna's a good person?
Well, when it comes to the likes of that, when it comes to the likes of Diddy parties and all, I would say she had no, I wouldn't go as far as to say she's a good person, but I would say she would have definitely nothing to do with anything like that. I never witnessed anything like that, never came close to anything like that. However, with other artists, I did see something where it was kind of very, very seedy, or remarks and stuff like that, where I'd be going, well, definitely. But look, I got to work with Chris Brown, things like that as well. And I got to see I got to see the darker side of the likes of the music industry through interacting with him. And some of the statements he would make to me in confidence, and I'd be kind of going, are you seriously? Did you just hear what you just said? Some of the most darkest stuff, talking about like kind of abusing women, and you're just like, this isn't right. Like this is, and it's acceptable. So that definitely, the likes of Puff Daddy, people have known for years about him. Same as they did with Harvey Weinstein. And you have to ask the questions of, where were all these people, managers, or where were the same with Rihanna? Like, who in God's name puts a 15, 16-year-old child, basically a teenager, in a room with someone like Jay-Z?
Who had previously had a really young girlfriend in Aaliyah as well, Jay-Z.
Look, Jay-Z,
there's like parallels. He likes young girls, and then Beyonce, it could have quite easily been her that was the next one. But
yeah, and look, Jay-Z's known for, he stabbed someone in a recording studio. Look, Jay-Z started off as a crack cocaine dealer, so that tells you all you need to know about that man.
Of course,
that shows you his character. He has no character. He's a soulless man. He really is.
Did you ever meet Jay-Z or have interactions with him or communications with him?
I had one communication with him where he was begging me to go back on the tour when I decided to walk away from him, and I just basically told him to not ring me again. And that's when I got the couple of weeks later. I got the kind of word through Roc Nation that if I didn't cease and desist with the lawsuit I was taking, that I would be made disappear, or they could make things very difficult for me, this, that, and the other. And I put that to bed very quickly with an email with them, so much so that Jay-Z, and this is because to show you the power of them, I sent an email back to Jay-Z saying, don't you dare ever threaten me or my family, absolutely nothing to do with you. However, if you do make another threat, I will fly to America and I'll deal with you personally myself. And I said, we'll see how big you are then when I'm standing eye to eye with you. You can threaten me all you like. And within 3 days of me sending that email, armed detectives arrived at my house from a district outside of this area. And it gets better. Jay-Z and Beyonce, it was in 2000, or she was coming over for a tour, but Jay-Z personally asked An Garda Síochána to have extra security around him and Beyonce when they came to Ireland, and that I was after threatening. Now, he was the one that threatened me. I didn't threaten him at all. I just told him I would deal with him face to face if he leveled under a threat. So without anybody making a criminal complaint, this is how powerful Roc Nation are. Roc Nation got on to their solicitors, who are Mathesons here in Ireland, and Mathesons do a lot of work on Garda Síochána. They do legislation, they do everything. Jay-Z's solicitor was able to ring, I mean, you wouldn't believe this, but we have it all on record. Jay-Z's solicitor was able to ring a chief superintendent in, where was it again? Not Blackrock. In Donnybrook, which is a really affluent area of Dublin, was able to ring a superintendent and say, will you go down and get someone to call to his house and tell him not to send another email to Jay-Z, without a criminal complaint. So no official complaint was made. And 3 days after I sent an email back to Jay-Z telling him exactly what was going to happen, they sent out armed detectives asking me would I stay in my house for the weekend that Beyonce and Jay-Z were here, that would I desist from threatening Jay-Z, and is Jay-Z okay if he comes to Ireland and all. I was like, this is absolutely disgraceful. So I thought he'd actually made an official complaint. So I showed the guard the email I sent. I said, where's the threat in that? I said, I just told him that if he threatens me again, I will fly to America and I will deal with this issue with me and him personally. And the guard was even going, I don't even know why you're here. I'm shocked. And I said, well, hold on. I said, did someone make a criminal complaint? And he was like, no. And I was like, get out of my house now. Get out of my house now. So I rang the superintendent, and the superintendent was stuttering on the phone and everything. He was like, well, you could be breaking the law. I said, how am I breaking the law? I said, I'm not breaking the law. I said, I simply sent an email to ask Jay-Z to desist from threatening me and my family members. I said, he didn't even make a complaint. I said, he just rang you. Is this what it is? And you came out. I said, no. I said, can you confirm no official complaint was made? And he said, no official complaint was made. I'm just ringing you. He's trying to play like the good cop. I'm just ringing you to tell you that you might be breaking the law.
And that's insane. He's using them like a private security and a threatening figure. He's not even an Irish citizen. Like, what is he calling from the other side?
To the other side of the world. And I said it to the chief superintendent. I said, you're a chief superintendent. I said, you're one of the most senior ranks of Garda Síochána, and you can't tell me whether I'm breaking the law. And I said, I'm not breaking the law. And well, you know I'm not breaking the law. I said, now please do not send any other guards or said a policeman, I said, out to my house. I said, on the word of Jay-Z. I said, basically started off as a crack dealer. I said, so fair play to you, superintendent. I said, you're just after having a crack dealer. I said, send your men out to a member of the public in Finglas. I said, without complaint, I said, I could have your job in an instant. And he apologised and everything, and I left it at that.
Fair enough. And so what's your opinion on this current lawsuit and everything that's going on with Jay-Z at the moment? Do you believe, obviously he's been very close to Diddy for years, super close to Diddy for years. Obviously he's trying to cut these ties.
If you look at straight away, like obviously I can't say I wasn't there. I didn't see, I don't know what that girl went through, what she's alleging she went through. There seems to be some sort of inconsistencies there, but there will be inconsistencies with kind of stories that are over 20 years old. However, I would not put anything past that man. And the very fact that he's trying to distance himself now from one of his best friends, we all know for a fact Jay-Z and Diddy were like that.
Yeah. But I commend you for obviously touching on it. I believe that there's so much bad stuff going on within the music industry, but that one case that they've been brought forward before Jay-Z looks dodgy. There's so many holes in the story, and obviously it is a long time ago, but I don't believe there would have been such. I don't believe that she's completely credible. This is what these people, these lawyers like Tony Busby have got to be careful. Rather than chucking in hundreds of lawsuits, they've only got to put in the credible ones, because one or two of these sort of made up ones takes away the credibility when he's putting his name to everything. If they actually want to try and do something to these people, and they are what they say they are, which I have no doubt, you can't just get everyone jump on the bandwagon. There's not more strength in numbers, more strength in quality.
As much as everybody that has problems with Jay-Z would love it, I have been jumping on the bandwagon. I've had problems with the man myself. However, it's you can't automatically assume someone's guilty, no matter how much you dislike them, or you have to be evidence-based. Everything has to be evidence-based. And I think that's where Tony Busby's going to have a problem. I think that's where he's going to have a problem, where you'd think someone as high profile as Tony Busby would be fact-checking absolutely everything for What
Well,
troubled
you
me
say
with
high
that,
profile, but he's only become high profile the last couple of years. He wasn't any big, super successful lawyer. He's become high profile from targeting the high profile celebs.
we all know America, it's guilty by the media over there. It only has to go in the media and like anywhere else in the world, I believe it. So yeah, I think Tony Busby has maybe bitten off a little bit more than he can chew just with the Jay-Z allegation. However, the P. Diddy one, obviously there seems to be enough evidence there because look, the FBI moved on him. They fact check everything. And that's another telling point as well, that no criminal charges have been lodged against Jay-Z. At the moment, no other allegations have come out against Jay-Z. However, that doesn't mean anything either. Jay-Z, I know for a fact, Jay-Z is very powerful, and Jay-Z has the money and has the power to make things disappear. That, like, you have to understand, the likes of Jay-Z and everybody else, they hear stories are going to come out about them. They stop them before they even get out.
Of
They
course,
have the power.
there's lawfare going on with loads of stories in America. He's literally got his legal team silencing everyone in America at the moment.
That's
When
another
you've got
trouble.
no means and you're up against a billionaire, it's impossible to sort of fight them.
No, but it is. But Jay-Z, I can guarantee you, Jay-Z is not innocent in all of this. He definitely was at these parties. He knew what was going on.
Allegedly, yes.
There's just by the law of averages, the amount of time they spent together, he was always at the Diddy parties. It's the same with Beyonce, and look, Jennifer Lopez getting dragged into it. Chris Brown's going to be dragged into it. There's a whole load of them. Kevin Hart. You look at all of these people that are now distancing themselves from Diddy, and then you've the very strange one with Ashton Kutcher as well.
It's all too little, too late. These people trying to cut ties, as you said, though, it's all going to come out as time goes on. Everything in the dark will come to light.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, look, it just goes to show you one thing that this is proven. It's proven that not one person in the music industry, especially in R&B, has 1 ounce of character among them. I can tell you now, had I been working for Rihanna and I ended up doing security at one of these parties and I walked in a room and I saw that going on, all hell would have broke loose. I wouldn't have cared about the job. I wouldn't have cared about who was in. There would have been people getting sorted there and then.
Well, it's absolutely fascinating and disgusting at the same time, but I'd love to touch more on that sort of subject in a future basis when you've got some more time. But because obviously you've got an incredible insight that not many people have, having been around these people on such a close basis. So absolutely fascinating. But going back to yourself and your current situation, so like you said, what happened to you as a result of your sort of whistleblowing exposed and all the stuff that's going on with children? Is this going to scare you are they going to scare you into shutting up now?
Oh no, not at all. It'll only strengthen my resolve. It'll only strengthen my resolve. No, there's not a man alive will stop me from doing something if I put my mind to it, and especially something like this, because these are the most vulnerable children in my community. So I'm never going to give up on them. I will have to change the way I do it. But definitely that's not going to stop. Something like that isn't going to stop me. It's only going to keep me putting the foot on the pedal. That's all it's going to do, because I'm getting somewhere now. Obviously, I'm getting.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's brilliant. Like I said, obviously, you must be very close to the mark at the point where they're trying to do this to you. But this could have all worked very, very badly for them, because now you're going to get such exposure from what's happened to you that obviously it's going to share your message a million times further than what it was anyway. And with everything going on at the moment, it's perfect timing. And obviously, the more exposure you get, the safer you become with it as well. So
And
they've messed up in a huge way.
Yeah, pardon the pun, but they've literally shot themselves in the foot. They really have. You know what I mean? And with the likes of with your help and the help of the interviews I will be doing, it is going to push that message to a place where I couldn't have got it to before. So as bad as it was being shot, I always look at, no matter what situation I'm in my life, I will always try and take the positive or look for a positive in any situation, no matter how negative a situation is or how bad it is. If you look for a positive in a situation or use that situation to your benefit, it's gonna be brilliant. And this is the start of it now, where I'm going to be speaking a lot more in relation to the corruption that I know exists. And look, being shot only proves that everything I've been doing over the last 12 years has been worth doing. I know that sounds strange, but it just kind of, it's kind of vindication, if that makes sense.
It proves that what you were saying wasn't rumors, it wasn't conspiracies, it wasn't what these people try to label it. You weren't some crazy whistle-blowing conspiracy theorist.
No, like you have to understand, even when I was hearing these stories about the guards, I was fact checking everything because that's what we do. That's what you have to do, especially when you're taking on any type of mission. You take it on as a kind of military. You have to assess the information that you're being given to make sure that you're acting in the right way and appropriately and proportionately. So I've always fact checked absolutely everything. I'm not the type of person that will go and run me mouth with half truths or everything I say. And that's why I've never been sued. I've come out with some named people, named politicians, and there is politicians involved in this, unfortunately. But that's for another time. But I everything that I say, I will fact check absolutely everything before, because I don't want to leave myself out there to be classed as, oh, he's just a conspiracy theorist, or he's this, he's that. He just has a gripe to pick.
Because it's so easy for these people, which is disgusting. The papers and the media are wrong all the time. The mainstream media are wrong with most of the stuff they say. Yet people like Alex Jones, they get 1,000 things correct, and then they get one thing wrong, and then they get absolutely chastised. The lawfare against them, they're taking everything. They're bankrupted. We're seeing civil suits like we've never seen before. It is disgusting.
Yeah, but like if you look at it, just goes to show you, as I was touched on, we'll touch on it in more detail because it's something it's very interesting. It's kind of harrowing, but it's very interesting. It just goes to show you the depths that a corrupt organisation will go to silence somebody. Like, I've lived in Finglas 17 years, and it was through the advocacy work and making complaints against guards that actually brought me to the attention of guards. I've been arrested 6 times in the last 10 years, and each time I've been arrested, there hasn't been a complaint made by a member of the public. I've just been arrested by members of the guards because they wanted to arrest me. And my very last arrest and latest arrest, strangely enough, was for using chalk on a pavement chalk on a pavement. There you go. And this is it. This is shocking. I am the first man in Ireland to ever be arrested for criminal damage for using pavement chalk on a pavement. So when it comes to
what a crazy situation that these same people that have been terrorizing you are the ones that you need to try and help you in your moment of need now, in order to try and find what's gone on and who it was and all this. So we'll keep
we keep a very close eye.
We'll hold our breath and see what happens with bated breath.
What I can say is I don't have very many positive things to say about, unfortunately, members of An Garda Síochána because I've had to interact with them and deal with them. However, the guard leading this investigation, I can say he's doing everything right anyway. And
let's go into this with a clean slate and forget everything about all the others when they let them deal with this, and let's see if they get some results. And we're judging on that alone. You can't judge them all with the same brush. We need the police force at the same time. We just need a good police force, and we need to try and root out the bad. We don't want to be an African unlawful.
At the end of the day, the police, I think they're starting to, they should start to come around to the fact that by my advocacy work, by pointing out these corrupt officers, I was helping their organisation, not anything else. How could it not be helping your organisation, pointing out the people that you need to get over that are causing, like, at the end of the day, people will say drug dealers and gangland are the most destructive thing to communities. They are. But I believe that a corrupt officer is far more dangerous and far more damaging to any community than any other criminal, because that's what a corrupt guard is. As a criminal, they have the power, they can get so many things done that people don't even see. It's absolutely horrendous.
I fully agree with you, and I commend you on your work, Geoff, fully. But I've taken enough of your time for today, Geoff, but I'd like to really thank you for your time today, the opportunity. It's been great talking to you, and I'd love to get you on as many times as possible over the next few years, and my platform's open to you anytime, obviously. But I hope everything's all right with you and your recovery is all right over the next few weeks and months. And most importantly, we hope these guards get the results and we can find out who actually did this. And then if we can actually see who did this, it should lead to the people behind that, and hopefully it expose some more stuff going forward. But like I said, you're not going anywhere. They haven't scared you away, and they've literally lit a fire even more so than before. Like I said, this happened 3 weeks ago, and Geoff's on interviews already putting the message out there. So, some men.
Yeah, well, all these gunmen have done is lit a fire and made an ex-Royal Marine more determined. That's the last thing you want to do. If they thought that was going to stop me, they're just going to come up against 10 times worse now. Like, even security-wise with the family, nobody is getting near me family or me now. It's all bets off now. So I've gone back into a mode where nobody will get a chance to do that again. I'll be too quick. I'm on me guard. And as I said, look, this work that I've been doing is so close to my heart and so important because I get to see the damage. And basically, these children are children I've been protecting are the most vulnerable in my society, the most vulnerable children in Ireland. And I've just been pushing for the protection, not only for the protection, but I've been pushing for people to, you know what I mean? There's no effort in Ireland to help these children or to realise their full potential. And that's something I've done as well. We can talk about another time as well, is not only protecting these children, but making them and showing the community that they have so much potential if people would just put a little bit of time into them instead of attacking them and antagonising them, and just encourage them to do something. Children are absolutely, like, they're open books. And you'll see, even I've dealt with the most kind of streetwise child that may be on the fringes of gangs, and you show them that there's another way, they'll jump at it. And there's a huge picture here. So I'm never going to stop. I have so much to do, and nothing and nobody. The Garda are an organisation of 14,000 people. We've been at each other for the last 10 to 12 years. If an organisation as powerful as that and with the numbers of 14,000 haven't stopped me, nobody else is going to stop me.
Fair play to you. Well, like I said, I'm on your side, Geoff. So anything I could do to assist you in any way, I will. And I'm sure you'll get lots and lots of support from this and the other interviews you do going forward. And yeah, this is just the start. They've just, like I said, lit the flame. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes forward. And I want to thank you and your platform, Christian. Look, from day one, since this happened, you reached out, and you've been a great source of kind of light as well. Like, you've kind of been keeping me going with the messages. So I want to thank you for that as well. And of course, I will love to come back on as many times as I can onto your platform. So we're going to be seeing a lot of each other, I think, over the next coming years anyway. And I definitely will get on. Well, start of a friendship. And like I said, I commend you for everything that you've done. And I thank you so much for the opportunity. And I hope everything's all right in your recovery and with your family. I hope that they've sort of been able to sort of relax a little bit. And obviously, it sounds like the Garda are there to protect you at the moment. So thank the Lord.
Yeah, so we that's one thing that the family are we're a little bit more relaxed now. Apart from, obviously, I'm switched on. I'm on hyper vigilant constantly. But yeah, we have that kind of added extra bit of protection there because of the seriousness now of the situation. It's been taken totally differently. It's been taken extremely seriously now by An Garda Síochána, and rightly so. So that just gives us a bit of breathing space to relax and try and heal as a family. Because look, my family were injured that day as well, obviously, by me being injured. Like, it's
and the community, because this was a brazen attack on the street. So this is something that was targeting everyone. It's it's not good for anyone involved. Obviously, you're the one that suffered the most, and your family, but it was a reckless brazen attack. So
yeah, and another story Finglas didn't need to hear, to be honest. We've had so much of that. It's another story that Finglas did not need to hear, especially.
Of course, I know a lot about Finglas. His past has had a lot of trouble there over the years, so I know about it.
A week before Christmas, when everybody's supposed goodwill and everybody's happy, and you know what I mean, you're hoping for a new year and new beginnings. And so it really kind of hit the community. It really did. Anybody I've spoken to, like, I've been people walking into shops, people coming out hugging me, and just because of the work I've done. And so I never got to kind of see that because I was so busy with the work and doing it. So you're not doing the work I do. You're not doing it for thanks. You're doing it for a purpose. So it was nice to actually, I've seen over the last 3 weeks since the shooting, the huge amount of support from the community, and the basically the love from them, like just getting hugs or people asking me, am I okay? Or it's crazy. Like, it's really nice as well. It puts a lot of faith in the community, and I always knew that faith was there. I know Finglas is an absolutely amazing community. It's a brilliant.
That's brilliant. And like I said, I commend you on your bravery and your fearlessness in targeting these people, and then even talking now, even after what's happened, you haven't hid under a rock. So again, I won't take any more of your time, Geoff. I'd like to really thank you for your time. And like I said, this is the start of lots more to come.
Look, thanks so much, and thanks for taking the time as well to do the interview.
It's a mutual thing. Thank you very much, sir. So like I said, Geoff, it's much appreciated.